everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, that is Caleb, and today we're breaking down a absolute insane shootout in the West, the Wild West this year. Purdue, Nebraska, just a bunch of madness going on in this game. I mean, 43-37, we'll be breaking it all down. Takeaways, it's going to be a wild one to say the least. Caleb, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing okay. It's bummed to lose. I was excited to get the 3 wins in a row. I was very excited. I thought we had a really good chance. Overall, some positive things. 37 points, which was exciting again, even against a pretty solid defense.
We'll start off on the offensive side, then head over to the defense and just talk about some of those big takeaways. Heading into the bye week this week, obviously, before we host currently top 25 Illinois. So on the offensive side, what were your thoughts initially overall on the performances here? Obviously, the insane record-breaking game from Trey Palmer, who was also our leading rusher in the game. Play overall from the offense.
Yeah, Trey Palmer was absolutely electric. We've talked about how our team is predicated on big plays. That is kind of how we are scoring, whether feast or famine.
Well, that's Whipple's
obviously why we struggle. Yeah, it's kind of his way to go. Yeah, and Trey Palmer feasted, to say the least. 237 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, and then 60 yards rushing off of that one play, again, which was super needed just to stay in this game. Our offense did a pretty solid job keeping up with probably the best offense in the Big Ten West in Purdue. A couple times there, obviously inside the red zone there where we go 3 pass plays and we end up just kicking a field goal. I think that maybe the momentum of the game switches there. Maybe they feel a little bit more pressure if we end up getting the touchdown and tying the game there. Because we were just playing catch up the whole second half and never, got back to being tied, just kind of got it back into one score. And then obviously Casey, he did some good things, obviously threw some good balls to Trey Palmer, who was wide the heck open the whole game.
Oh my goodness.
But he also had a couple bad picks.
Yeah, for sure.
The second one, both were actually just pretty tough. The first one just absolutely missed the linebacker there, and with Travis Vokalek, who was wide open, just need to put a little bit more air under it. And then the second one, just needed to throw it further again. There was a couple times where he was just underthrowing Trey Palmer. He said he kind of hurt his shoulder, and it definitely looked that way because, that nice spiral that we're used to seeing from Casey sometimes went away, and it got a little more like a duck. So,
yeah. There were basically 3 plays that defined the game offensively for Casey and just in general for the offense. Like you said, it was the 2 picks and then the overthrow to Alante in the end zone on that stretch of 3 straight pass plays there. On third down, he completely missed Alante wide open in the back of the end zone. Missed out on 4 points there, and Purdue scored 6 points off the turnover. So that's 10 points right there in the game, and that's the difference in the game.
Yeah, we really did have 2 touchdowns as well because Anthony Grant was open for that touchdown on second down too, and he just kind of missed through it there as well. So
gunned it in there.
It's just tough. Yeah, he could have just floated that one.
It is tough with Casey because there's been so many incredibly great moments, and obviously
he threw for 359 yards.
His deep ball is unbelievably great. It really is. But then mixed with the pressure, and this is one thing we talked about with Casey heading into the year. One of our biggest worries for the whole team was how Casey threw when under pressure in the pocket, because at Texas he was actually significantly worse than Adrian while throwing in the pocket, which is saying something because Adrian wasn't in himself that great either. But obviously Adrian had the legs to get away. And so that was going to be the biggest difference here. And so we've seen these moments where there's a little bit of pressure. He's getting hit. He's taken some huge hits in this game. And it's definitely playing into getting hurt and or causing some of these turnovers.
Yeah, it's just a bummer. Again, we had more time this second half. The defense was a little bit more gassed. And Trey Palmer was just getting open so fast. He was down the field just incredibly fast. It was incredible. I'd just see, I'd see the TV, I'd see Casey get back, gun it. I'm like, what the heck? And it's been 2 seconds and Trey Palmer's already 50 yards down the field.
He had 237 yards, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and a 60-yard rushing carry. He nearly had
yards.
200. Yeah, he nearly had 300 total yards in the game, dude. Insane. And I tweeted this morning, but he is now the number 1 highest graded receiver in the country on Pro Football Focus at this point. Minimum 10 targets for a player. But it's still absolutely unreal. To have the highest graded receiver in the country right now is definitely a blessing and exciting to see.
Thank you, Mickey.
What he can do moving forward. Again, this is the combination of Whipple's vertical passing game, Mickey Joseph, the coaching, the talent, the recruiting, and having a quarterback who can effectively throw downfield is a pretty dang nice combination. And I mean, we talked about this heading into the year, but like Whipple's leading receivers with the trio of like Tajay Sharp's 2 unbelievable seasons, Andy Isabella, Jordan Addison, the Blitnikoff winner last year, and now adding to the list, Trey Palmer here as a wide receiver 1 who absolutely dominates. It's not out of the question that Palmer is right there in the conversation for the Blitnikoff right now. So it's like there's a world where Whipple could have back-to-back Blitnikoffs.
Yeah, if we can just win some more games here too, like that definitely helped the case. But I mean, again, Purdue isn't a pushover opponent. They are, now in the driver's seat essentially for the Big Ten West. Aiden's had a really great year, as we've seen, and their defense with the new defensive coordinator has really improved too, which is exciting for them because that's been Jeff Brom's just massive issue.
Well, I was going to say was like with Casey is like, how do you balance this with Casey? Because at this point, it feels like he's due for probably one bad pick a game in most of these situations. But for the most part, he plays unbelievably well. Like realistically, he basically made 3 mistakes in this game and they were just horribly bad mistakes. It's very Adrian-esque, but like with way more upside.
Yeah, I just kind of put it as, I think the offense pretty much did their job with getting 37 points. And the defense has to stop Purdue at some point. You can't allow 43 points and 600 yards of offense.
It is hard. I mean, it's just hard not to imagine how good this offense would be if you handed us just like the 70th or 60th ranked offensive line in the country.
Yeah,
right now PFF in pass blocking has us at 121st.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely 124st, man. Our offensive line is so bad. It could be worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Turner Cochran and, Anthony has not been any better.
Oh my goodness. Hunter Anthony got smoked.
Cooked. Our offensive line, they're just garbage pails. It's incredible. I mean, and everybody just talks about it. Like Husker fans are usually so positive and kind, and it's just like I just look on Twitter and it's just ripping the offense.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just bad.
So what's the only hope? I think the only hope might be Kevin Williams coming back from injury after the bye week.
Yeah, just something. My goodness.
Because when he was in there for those 15 or 20 snaps or whatever it was at left tackle, he looked good. And so basically at this point, I legit think
how we did open tryouts for kicker? I think we should do open tryouts on campus for an offensive line. I'm serious. We need something, anything.
It's unreal.
The only decision that Scott Frost coaching was allowed to make last year was Raiola, which I do think is kind of funny.
Yeah, so that means the other 2 were both hired by
Trev more so. So
okay.
So yeah, it's just funny that the one that was 100% Scott Frost is getting absolutely smoked.
Torched.
It's not, he didn't inherit anything great to be fair, but still, we're getting destroyed.
Again, this was the worry. People, obviously it's been worst case scenario, losing Newley right before the season like we did with the suspension, and then Prohaska going out season-long injury right off the rip. Basically worst case scenario for this offensive line. What are your thoughts on Anthony Grant and I don't know if it's lack of usage or what are your thoughts on Whipple right now?
The thing is,
line, where you at with
this? The thing is with, we couldn't have him carry the ball because we were down 14 essentially the whole game.
True.
So we had to throw. So only I don't
23
really think
total carries in this game. The 6 were from Casey, so really 17.
Yeah. I get it. He had 11 carries. He only had 35 yards, 3.2 yards per carry average. I think he looked like in the second half, if the defense wouldn't have allowed as many points, I think he could have definitely eaten. I think that he probably would have had 120 yards, his average. There was just some times where he did have those 5-yard carries. I would say the best blocking scheme we had where our offensive line actually looked nice was a Yant run where I wish Grant would have been in that play because I think that would have been 15 yards instead of 5.
And that Vermeer run. He had a carry. It's out of nowhere. Vermeer gets a carry, goes for 17, then we don't see him again.
They were burning clock and they were scoring on 5-minute drives in the second half.
Are you worried about Grant and the running game moving forward, or do you think it was just a situational?
No, I just think, again, it's our offensive line. Okay. They're not doing him any favors. I think he looks just as great. But I guess it just comes down to our running game as general. If we're only going to be averaging 3.5 yards a carry, if our tackles keep getting cooked, it just doesn't matter,
Yeah, but the problem is the defenses from here on out basically just get better.
Yeah, at least they were graded pretty solidly, but
Purdue was. Yeah,
it's gonna get no easy. It is gonna get no easier the way we're going, but it's just the way it is.
The offense wasn't sustaining drives, so it was all big plays for Nebraska, which meant that Purdue had like 101 plays in this game? An insane amount. Like, holy, 103 plays in this game for Purdue. Unreal. So the defense was out there for a long time.
They weren't doing themselves any favors.
But they weren't doing themselves any favors. No.
I mean, my goodness. So they could get off the field.
I think the only other takeaway for me is that Whipple could still help dial up some plays that dispute some pressure. I mean, some screens, some end arounds, some other outlets. There are ways to scheme this, and I'm just still frustrated that Whipple doesn't do these things. I mean, Casey, almost every single game, takes one hit at least where it looks like he died. And so, like, we can't be keeping this up for the next 5 games. He's not going to survive. So
yeah, I really hope Whipple helps, more so in the first half than the second half. In the second half, we usually do a pretty solid job. And again,
I mean, the end around finally worked. I mean, we've been calling for it all year, and then it goes.
It'll be interesting to see
yards.
Now that Trey Palmer had the breakout game. Now, like, teams are gonna definitely like scheme for him. I think it's gonna open up some more stuff from us. So I think that'll be exciting. I think Trey Palmer's still gonna get open anyway. It's not like they can help it at this point. So
yeah, I mean, teams are gonna have to start respecting that downfield play even more than they were before. So hopefully that helps us in the running game a little bit here moving forward, and we can utilize play action effectively as well. So we'll see. So on the defensive side, I mean, it was a weird game. Let's talk big picture first. How do you feel about Bill Busch at this point, how he called this game, and do you feel like he did a good enough job with the circumstances of the players' execution on the field?
I mean, I like what he called of going a lot of man and then trusting the defensive line, trusting O'Shawn and Garrett to get to the QB. We just could not get there. And then the linebackers had to do the job. Those middle linebackers had to do the job of getting the tackles.
Reimer being out.
It hurt.
That hurt so bad.
That hurt.
We literally
coverage.
called him one of the keys to the game.
Yeah, we did. We did a pretty good job against Payne Durham, all things considered, too, even with Reimer out. The problem was we couldn't stop the run.
The announcers made sure to keep us aware of that. Oh, my word. How many times did he say, Payne Durham's been pretty quiet today?
Oh, my goodness. They talked a lot. But the color commentary was interesting.
To be fair, again, they had so many snaps. They were out there for so long. They probably
however, what can you say? Yeah, they were there. They're out for 3/4 of the game. It was Nebraska. Oh, Trey Palmer's pretty good. Oh, it's a touchdown. Back to Purdue.
Literally.
Yeah, so I can't blame them. They ran out of things to talk about. We did a pretty solid job of that. It's the run. We allowed 116 yards in the first half of rushing with
my goodness, we couldn't stop Maccabee.
With Maccabee. And like, you just can't do that. We allowed 27 we allowed 27 points and over 100 yards rushing in the first half. I mean, I know we're pretty good when it comes to halftime adjustments, but like, we have to figure it out there a little bit more. I know our linebackers, they didn't play good games. We missed 18 tackles. And that was both on the defensive line and on the linebackers. That was essentially the ones missing the tackles. And that just couldn't happen. And that's why they were getting so many runs. I don't think, again, Maccabee he's a solid freshman. He's 185 pounds. You still got to tackle him. He's physical, but you got to tackle him. Ty Robinson played an awful game. Played an awful
he was right
game.
Back to form.
62 snaps, 0 tackles. Only missed tackles. Again, 18 missed tackles. I think Ty Robinson probably had 4. It was just, noodle arm after noodle arm tackle. I mean, it's just frustrating when, you see Devin Drew had way less snaps.
Yeah, and Wynn, they both looked all right.
And a pass deflection. Yeah, Wynn had some tackles at least. On 34 snaps, he had 2 tackles. You got to do something. And again, then Garrett Nelson and O'Shawn Mathis. I'd say O'Shawn Mathis played definitely a better game. Like, at least heard his name. Like, Garrett Nelson, caused really no QB hurries. Like,
I would say Garrett was a little bit better in the run game than Mathis was, but Mathis was better in the pass game.
Yeah, it's like, you have to get to him. They gave him oodles and oodles of time back there just to do what, and again, Aiden O'Connell is one of the better QBs in the Big Ten. And if you just give him time, how old is he? He's like 40 years old back there. He's as old as Tom Brady. He's been there for so long. So he just knows what to do. He's a smart QB guy. And I'd say the secondary did a good job of dropping back 8 a lot of the time. Honestly, the passes that killed us was they just kick it back to the running back. And guess whose job that was? Our linebackers couldn't make the tackle and it'd be 25, 30 yards. It just happened too often. So our front 7 has just let us down this season.
We were just losing some of the battles. Obviously, like when the ideal situation for this game was where Newsome does an incredible job on Charlie Jones, and then you feel really comfortable blitzing consistently. Like, we didn't. So instead, we went the complete opposite way, and we're just like, well, let's just minimize the damage and hope our offense can catch up. And we're dropping 8 into coverage and letting Aiden do whatever he wants. So it was tough. I mean, obviously, Aiden played an unbelievably great game. I mean, he was evading pressure we do that like with nobody's everyone. Business.
I mean, Helensky plays a great game, and all QBs play a great game.
Because we actually had some we had some pressure in the game. We just couldn't finish a play. I mean, we had 16 pressured plays in the game, but O'Connell evaded all of them. It is frustrating. Like there's so many times we got a hand or so. Like, yeah, exactly. So it's tough. I mean, I genuinely think that Reimer, because of just how much better he is at pass coverage than basically anyone else we have in that linebacking core, by
would have given us a little bit more trust.
It might have been enough to change the tides of this game. Just him alone. It's possible, at least. So it was really disappointing that he wasn't out there. I mean, everyone else got basically cooked. I mean, literally every single linebacker, at least in pass coverage, was getting smoked man and zone, and we couldn't get a stop. I mean, Mog compliments.
He had 5 tackles. I mean, no tackles for loss. Again, our offensive line. I mean, their offensive line played a way better game, and again, they're one of the worst offensive lines. Our defense definitely did not show up enough here to win the game.
Both of their tackles are very mediocre, middle of the road guys this season. So it's like that's frustrating and definitely a bad sign when we're not getting pressure on them basically the whole game.
So yeah, Mickey Joseph had harped about more physical team wins, and our defense just was not physical whatsoever. They were not tough or physical.
It didn't help that Buford didn't play a good game, and when your Newsome again is struggling like that, it's just hard to rely on anything. And so Bill Bush just got really conservative with the game plan, which I understand, but man, it was hard to watch defensively, giving up that many yards.
It was exciting getting a block. We got 1 pick at the beginning of the game, and then we got a blocked punt.
Didn't convert on it though, and the block punt was huge. But again, not getting the points that you need, you got to score off those points. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. And what are your biggest takeaways overall moving forward into the bye week? What are you hoping to see in the bye week? What are the hopes or changes defensively that you might want to see?
A lot of time to plan for Illinois, which is great because they're one of the tougher opponents. But again, like, they are more one-dimensional. We really need to focus on run stop. My goodness.
Yeah,
we're about to, obviously with Chase Brown. Yeah, we just need to find who can wrap up a guy and tackle because it's killing us. Our defensive line again.
Obviously, Henrich got knocked out in the first half, which I mean,
and he ended up being one of our better tacklers.
He was playing pretty well in the first half actually, which is tough. So I don't know. I mean, there was just a lot of problems there, which forced like Phelan Sanford to get on the field a lot and. Klaravec played so many snaps. Like it was definitely tough there at linebacker for us.
We can do better. Obviously, that was probably the best offense we're going to see. I mean, besides Michigan, until we see Blake Corum.
Depending on what you think of Illinois in their run game.
Yeah, obviously they're solid. But they're not going to score in bunches. It's more just they're great at possession and.
I mean, they're going to feed Chase Brown just like they did last week.
Game. My goodness.
They're trying to kill him, I think. I mean, we'll talk about this in the prediction video next week. I think in Minnesota, I think he ended up with 41 carries and he had 41 carries and he had 3 receptions. He had 44 touches. Oh my god.
That's just crazy. That's more than Christian McCaffrey in his prime, man. It's wild.
Unreal. So we'll see.
But he is their whole offense. I mean, we gave away 600 some yards and still we're in this game somewhat. So we just can't allow 217 rush yards against Purdue. Like we just couldn't have that. Like
you don't say. I mean, considering especially since they weren't an efficient running team all season, basically, it does not bode well for us moving into playing against Illinois or Michigan or Minnesota up here moving forward.
I really feel like we're gonna win games though. I really feel like even though we lost and it stunk. I feel like with Mixie's team, like we were down 14 points, 17 points. We come back, we kick a 43-yard field goal, and then we get back into this game. And while our defense, yes, we had some bad moments, we also had some good moments too where, we held them to a field goal when it could have been a touchdown. With our offensive put them in a bad spot because, we got sacked twice and then we give them short fields. And then again, like we held them to another field goal. Like there were times where, again, this was a pretty solid offense. They were on the field a lot. Like there were still some good things I saw from Bill Bush. Like I still have hope. Garrett Nelson needs to be more consistent. O'Shawn Mathis needs to be more consistent. The linebackers got to figure out tackling somehow, some way. Like we got to tackle.
I mean, we desperately need to buy a week.
Things. Yeah, I think we do those things. We get healthy, and then our offensive line.
Can we win 3 more?
Yes, I think we can win 3 more. Will we? I don't know. But can we? Yes, we can.
I mean, what would it be? Illinois and then either one of Minnesota, Wisconsin, or both?
We're just going to beat all of them. We beat everybody. We win out besides Michigan. Or we even beat Michigan. Come on. We can do it.
I mean, it's possible. Any of the home games, I mean, Illinois, they're top 25, but like at the end of the day, they're Illinois. They're
but it's Mickey Joseph, so it's time to beat a top 25
and so
team.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, it's interesting.
An away game and a night game, like that's not an easy place to play with their stupid train noises all night. There was a lot of them because they were scoring a lot of points.
Hey, then. I mean, ironically, there's actually still hope in the Big Ten somehow. Obviously, it would require Purdue to take some losses, but I mean, who knows? There's a lot of games ahead still.
We're 2-2, baby. We're still 500 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's looking good. So drop all your comments down below. Obviously, you want to see your guys' opinions. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you never miss an upload, because why would you ever want to do that?
Yeah,
but as always, guys, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports, and we'll see you next time.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.